Much like young Sheldon's version of Mima was very different from the sedate, stern matriarch seen in The Big Bang Theory, Mary is a lot meaner, more blunt, and more bitter in the original show than she was in young Sheldon. This is due at least in part to the sudden death of her beloved husband, George Sr., which occurred in young Sheldon's penultimate episode. Since the character-shifting event had already occurred, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage made Mary meaner and angrier than she used to be in Season 1, and this could impact Season 2's story. Mary's character shift makes sense since she got more bitter and angry after George's death and before the original show began, but her anger and opprobrium can be surprisingly dark for a light-hearted sitcom. Mary's outbursts in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage episode 5, Thanksgiving, and episode 10, A House Divided, didn't fit her young Sheldon persona, but they were reminiscent of her personality from The Big Bang Theory. Mary's character shift makes sense since she got more bitter and angry after George's death and before the original show began, but her anger and opprobrium can be surprisingly dark for a light-hearted sitcom. Thus, Season 2 must find a way to make Mary more involved in Georgie's business without turning her into an unpleasant presence who worsens the protagonist's existing anxiety. Mary's role in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage Season 2 makes Mima's part in the story harder to envision, since Mima's decision not to invest in Georgie's store makes her less essential to the spin-off's main characters. However, this could be good for Annie Potts' character. When Mima hired Mandy to join her illegal sportsbook gambling scheme, she caused a major fight between the young couple that almost had serious repercussions for their future. This might be entirely unintentional on her part, but Georgie's mother is likely to complicate the pair's union since they already live together with Mandy's parents in her childhood home. However, since Mima won't be around to drive a wedge between them, this can only mean that Georgie and Mandy's first marriage Season 2 will likely see Mary divide Georgie and Mandy instead. This might be entirely unintentional on her part, but Georgie's mother is likely to complicate the pair's union since they already live together with Mandy's parents in her childhood home. Although it may seem like an obvious source of conflict for the character, Mary should not fly off the handle at Georgie over the way he runs the tire store. This would admittedly explain his anger at Sheldon for not being present to the family's woes after George Sr.'s death, but it would also just be hard to watch considering all Georgie does for his family and all the anxiety he has experienced already. Instead, Mary's anger should be expressed in her relationship with the McAllister family as it often was in Season 1. While George and Mandy's first marriages break out a sea.